I'm Anna Luther, and I'm going to be talking about professional learning networks and education. So the basics are that professional learning networks at their core are relationship-based communities coming together for a common purpose, and that's a professional purpose in this case. The main outlets are Twitter and Facebook. If you're just getting started with this, that's where I'd recommend you going. And if they're operating at their peak, you should be humble, vulnerable with your PLN, and it should be creating a sense of interdependence where you're constantly pushing each other, telling each other, and going to each other for ideas, lessons, whatever, so you can be operating at your optimum performance level. So without further ado, I have a little video that further explains this concept that I would like to show.
A personal learning network, or PLN, is a way of describing the group of people, and sometimes organizations, you connect with in order to learn from their ideas, their questions, their reflections, and their references. Your PLN is not limited to online interactions, but it is that online global interactive part that really makes it special. It is personal because you choose who's part of that group, because you choose if you want to lurk, just check out what people are saying, or if you want to share, because you choose when to do so and how to do so. You don't have to know the people in your PLN personally. Their contribution to your learning focus is what brought you together through the internet. It is a network because these people are in turn connected to other people and organizations that influence and enrich the interactions of your group through various collaboration tools, usually referred to as Web 2.0. It is focused on learning. For instance, the learning I'm focused on in my PLN is professional development and education. I follow people who have interest in pedagogy, didactics, and technology, and I offer them some of my thoughts on the matter in various forms. How do you engage with your PLN? The tools vary from one person to another. My personal favorites are Twitter, YouTube, and the Educator's PLN. Your PLN is always on, but you don't have to be always on it. Take what you want, offer what you want, when you want, where you want it, and on whichever device you prefer. This keeps learning, or your professional development, always easily accessible.
So that's the cool thing about PLNs. They're very spontaneous. You can do what you want with them, and they kind of get away from the one-size-fits-all PD model that we have been seeing in education. Although we still are doing professional development trainings like that, we're starting to see more progress to go to a more customized thing. And that helps everybody reach their maximum potential because we're all in different places. When we're sitting in a room, there's always that one person asking questions that's 5 or 10 steps behind and the rest of the staff's waiting on them, and that just causes a lot of frustration. With PLNs, you don't see that because you're going at your own pace, you're doing your own thing with people that are on the same page as you. Not that there's anything wrong with waiting on somebody and seeing that different perspective, but sometimes that can hold you back in the professional setting. So the goals I'm going to be trying to accomplish by interacting with my PLN are designing and developing more cross-curricular lessons for my students. Our school's undergoing STEM certification. Also, I would like to plan something for the 100th anniversary of World War I. Being over in Remembrance Day in this coming November, so I'm trying to get a leg up on that. And I also want to constantly acquire new skills to help me differentiate instruction for my gifted and special education students. I serve both of these populations, and I don't want to become stagnant in my differentiation and keep doing the same thing year after year. So I'm trying to look at myself to develop my materials further, kind of make sure that everybody's getting what they need as society's changing, technology's changing, whatever. I don't want to be the teacher that's passing out something that they use their first year on the last year they're teaching. So as I was researching, I was actually overwhelmed at how much was out there on PLNs considering how new they are and how positive the research is. Now, it does vary based off your participation level. Obviously, the people that are more engaged, have more personal relationships with PLNs, are reaping more benefits. And the cool thing about PLNs is that they're integrated into your natural routine. I'm already checking Facebook. I'm already checking Twitter on my own, on my phone, on my computer, whatever, every day. So being a part of these isn't taxing for me because it's something I'm already doing. And that's what we're seeing with a lot of people in the education field and outside of that are already doing these things. So let's go ahead and incorporate that into our work life, and it's kind of fun, but you're just meeting people. It's very relaxed. So this networking is very relaxed. It's take what you want, leave what you want, but you're getting the most out of that and you're really reaching your full potential when it's a two-way street. You're taking and giving, not just lurking, not just partaking and taking things. Some teachers have the perception that if they're going to blogs and downloading things, they're part of a PLN, which is true at the most basic sense, but you're really not reaping the benefits as somebody that's constantly engaging with others. So I've been a part of several PLNs from grade levels, so grade level, content area, and county level. I've been at all of them, and those have been interesting in their own regards because they're all kind of focused around a different goal. But two I've recently become a part of. I've been part of the Twitter chat world for a couple years now, but I'm recently realized that there's all these Facebook groups for social studies teachers specifically and within my state, and I've really enjoyed learning about that because there's so much to learn and there's so many resources out there that quite frankly I was ignorant to, and there's resources that I'm using that others are ignorant to, so we're sharing, we're bouncing things off back and forth, and it's just really refreshing to see the positivity and overwhelming happiness and joy that these people have in their jobs, because that's not what you will always see in your local school. So when you're in these PLNs, you're getting the positive people, you're getting the people that really want to do their best, and it's a really refreshing experience. So the food for thought I had while I was reading the articles, how they're going to impact my PD and what further steps I take in the future is, now what? I have a framework for what I'm going to do through one of the articles that I'll share with you momentarily. And what am I going to do going forward? Because the more I know, the more I'm accountable for doing something with it. And I'm not really at the stage 5 of how to grow my PLN. I'm more at a 2. This year I kind of slacked off at it. I kind of digressed with that because of other commitments I had that took away from it. And so I really want to get back into nurturing my PLN, being a part of it, and just kind of pushing myself to just get out there and share what I'm doing, see what others are doing and compliment them for that, and really just get back on the horse again and be involved with a PLN more regularly. Although I am a huge proponent of PLNs, as I was reading through some articles, they left me with some food for thought as I raised some questions about them. So the tour article was about 3 teachers that engaged in them, and they were engaging that for when their PLNs for multiple hours a day. They said that they were doing it while walking their dogs, just doing the kind of monotonous activities that you would do anyway throughout the day. But one of my concerns is work-life balance. All this information is available on demand. So where do you draw the line? Okay, this is cool, it's on Facebook. I want to interact and engage and grow myself, but where do you need to say, okay, I've been on this for 3 hours and this is my home life. I've got to take back a step back, refresh and restore myself so I can go into work the next day refreshed and not, just worn down. So that's one concern I have. And if it's going on that long, how intellectually challenging is the learning that's occurring in some PLNs? Now that's up for each teacher to decide on their own, but that's a thought. How deep is the learning occurring here? Is this really beneficial, or is this a bunch of people getting together to toot their own horns to talk about how great they are and how awesome they are? Because there's a difference there. So as I continue to read, I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but another article brought up, how do we know that we're relying on other experts? Now, certainly we are experts in our content matter, so hopefully we have an eye that can discern what's good and what's not, but how do we know who we're taking advice and information from? We need to have a critical eye at first until you begin to build that trust with your PLN of what we're sharing with our students. Like, is this credible? Is this reliable? Is this biased? These are things that we need to talk about and look at when we're in a PLN, because you don't want to just print something off and blindly hand it to your students, because once it enters your students' hands, you're accountable for that. And you really want to make sure that you're giving them quality instruction. Finally, are the students benefiting from the PLNs, and what actions am I taking? This article by Kruka, Carpenter, and Trust was very beneficial. They have several articles out there, and they're all active on Twitter as well. So I would encourage you to look up those articles and follow them on Twitter, because they're experts in the field and they're constantly putting out valuable resources. So I've added them to my PLN because I enjoyed the article I read, and I perused another article about PLNs by them, but I did not use it in the study. So I'll provide you with a chart with some food for thought on that in just a moment. And then last but not least, what do we do with the employees who don't think that they need to engage in PLNs because it is spontaneous? It is on your own time. So you can't force that. And then the self-perceptions, like some people downloading things from a blog thinking that they're actively engaged in a PLN, that's a red flag for me. So where do we go from there? What do we do with that? How do we kind of refine these interactions? Because right now they're just kind of happening on their own. If we're going to take this and make it more formal and actually count it for something and change the way PD happens, what are the changes that need to be made? So, as I was reading Trust, Krupka and Carpenter came up with this lovely chart, and these are questions that you can ask yourself about PLNs and how you're benefiting from them. And it's really just something that gives you something to think about, because you don't want to just get on a Twitter chat, you don't want to just be on a Facebook group doing whatever and ultimately wasting your time and other people's time. So we talked about three um, core concepts of PLNs, and that's people, who, spaces, and tools. And there's, as you can see, there identification, reflection, intention, and action steps. Of course, the action steps are going to vary, so there's no questions in that. But if you just look at these, I found this to be very thought-provoking and very useful for myself. And I had to get really honest with myself as I went through this. And that's when I realized, wow, I need to refine what I'm doing personally in my PLN. So I hope you found it informative, what I was talking about with PLNs and kind of some food for thought and how you can grow your PLN. What's the next step that you need to take to make it more beneficial? These were the articles I read while looking at this. And again, this is a really cool day and age, because now if you read a journal article you like, you can go follow them on Twitter. And I have done that with some of these authors that I found to be very informative and interesting. So yes, if you like it, go ahead and read the article. Follow them on Twitter because they have some good stuff to say. Thank you for watching. Bye.